Nature can be breathtaking and deadly. From unstoppable storms to terrifying, earth-shaking forces, these 20 events prove how little control we really have. Let's explore nature's worst nightmares. 1. Tornado. On May 22, 2011, an EF5 tornado struck Joplin, Missouri, becoming one of the deadliest in U.S. history. Winds exceeding 320 kilometers per hour ripped through the city, flattening entire neighborhoods in minutes. The tornado killed 161 people and injured over 1,100. In total, more than 7,000 homes and buildings were destroyed, leaving behind damage worth over $2.8 billion. 2. Tsunami. On March 11, 2011, a massive undersea earthquake measuring 9.1 magnitude struck off the coast of Japan, triggering a catastrophic tsunami. Waves over 40 meters high slammed into towns along the Tohoku coastline. Nearly 20,000 people lost their lives, and more than 2,500 remain missing to this day. Entire communities were swept away in minutes, leaving damage estimated at $235 billion, making it the costliest natural disaster in history. 3. Volcanic eruption. On May 18, 1980, Mount St. Helens in Washington state erupted with unimaginable force. The explosion reduced the mountain's height by 400 meters and released ash 24 kilometers into the sky. A massive landslide followed, destroying everything in its path. 57 people died, and hundreds of square kilometers of forest were flattened. The eruption caused over $1.1 billion in damage and remains one of the most destructive volcanic events in U.S. history. 4. Earthquake. On January 12, 2010, the ground beneath Haiti shook with terrifying violence. In just 35 seconds, the capital Port-au-Prince turned to rubble. Buildings folded like paper, hospitals collapsed, while patients still lay inside. More than 220,000 people died, with over 300,000 injured, and 1.5 million left without homes. The entire nation was paralyzed. Survivors had to dig through concrete by hand, searching for family members. With $8 billion in damage, it was one of the deadliest earthquakes the modern world has ever witnessed. 5. Wildfires. California has always faced wildfires, but in November 2018, the Camp Fire became something the world had never seen. Sparked by a faulty power line, flames tore through the town of Paradise at terrifying speed. People had only minutes to escape. 85 lives were lost. Nearly 19,000 structures burned to ash, and the entire town was wiped off the map. Some residents fled in their cars through tunnels of fire, with flames on both sides of the road. The disaster caused over $16 billion in damages and forced the world to rethink how fast fire can spread. 6. Hurricane Katrina. On August 29, 2005, Hurricane Katrina slammed into the Gulf Coast with winds over 280 kilometers per hour. But it wasn't just the storm. Broken levees caused massive flooding across New Orleans, drowning entire neighborhoods under meters of water. Some people climbed onto their roofs to escape, waiting days to be rescued. In the chaos, over 1,800 lives were lost, and nearly 1 million people were displaced. The images of a submerged American city shocked the entire world. Damage reached an unimaginable $125 billion, making Katrina the costliest hurricane in U.S. history. 7. Indian Ocean tsunami. On December 26, 2004, a 9.1 magnitude undersea earthquake off the coast of Sumatra triggered one of the deadliest natural disasters ever recorded. The resulting tsunami sent waves as high as 30 meters, crashing into 14 countries, wiping out entire coastal communities. Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and Thailand were among the hardest hit. Nearly 230,000 people lost their lives, and over 1.7 million were left homeless. The force of the water was so powerful, it moved ships inland like toys and carried buildings away in seconds. 8. Australia, Black Summer Fires. During the summer of 2019 to early 2020, Australia faced its worst wildfire season in recorded history. Known as the Black Summer, Fires scorched more than 18 million hectares, an area larger than England. Over 3,000 homes were destroyed, and nearly 3 billion animals were killed or displaced, a heartbreaking ecological disaster. Smoke from the fires traveled around the globe, even turning skies orange in New Zealand. At least 33 people lost their lives, while thousands were forced to evacuate through walls of flame. 9. Sichuan earthquake. On May 12, 2008, a magnitude 7.9 earthquake rocked China's Sichuan province, leveling entire towns in just minutes. The destruction was catastrophic. Over 87,000 people died or went missing, including thousands of children trapped in collapsed schools. Landslides buried villages, and entire mountainsides crumbled. In total, more than 4.8 million people were left homeless, and damages topped $150 billion. It remains one of China's most painful tragedies in recent memory. 10. Eyjafjallajökull volcano. In April 2010, Iceland's Eyjafjallajökull volcano erupted after nearly 200 years of silence. The eruption sent a massive ash cloud soaring over 9 kilometers into the atmosphere, disrupting air travel across Europe for weeks. More than 100,000 flights were canceled, stranding millions of passengers worldwide. Locals were forced to evacuate farms buried under layers of ash, and livestock suffered respiratory problems. Although no one was killed, the economic losses topped $5 billion, showing how a single eruption can paralyze modern life. 11. Pakistan floods. In the summer of 2022, unprecedented monsoon rains caused devastating floods across Pakistan. 1/3 of the entire country ended up underwater, displacing more than 33 million people. Over 1,700 lives were lost, while entire villages were washed away. Crops, roads, bridges, and homes were destroyed, creating a humanitarian crisis on a massive scale. Damages were estimated at over $30 billion, leaving Pakistan struggling to rebuild and prevent future disasters. 12. Bangladesh Cyclone Sidr. On November 15, 2007, Cyclone Sidr slammed into southern Bangladesh, with winds over 260 kilometers per hour. The storm surge flooded entire coastal regions, sweeping away homes, fields, and entire communities. More than 3,400 people lost their lives, and over 55,000 were injured. Millions were left homeless, forced to survive in temporary shelters for months. The damage totaled nearly $3 billion, pushing one of the world's poorest countries into an even deeper humanitarian crisis. 13. European heatwave. In the summer of 2003, Europe experienced one of its worst heat waves in recorded history. Temperatures soared above 40 degrees Celsius in countries like France, Italy, and Spain, overwhelming hospitals and emergency services. Nearly 70,000 people died, many of them elderly and vulnerable, unable to cope with the extreme heat. Rivers dried up, crops failed, and wildfires raged across southern Europe. The disaster forced governments to rethink how climate change could turn ordinary summers into deadly threats. 14. Hurricane Maria. On September 20th, 2017, Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico as a powerful Category 4 storm, with winds nearing 250 kilometers per hour. The entire island was plunged into darkness as the power grid collapsed. Roofs were torn off, bridges washed away, and communities isolated for weeks. Officially, over 3,000 people died, many due to a lack of medical care and clean water after the storm. Damages totaled more than $90 billion, leaving Puerto Rico struggling to recover for years. 15. Turkey-Syria earthquake. On February 6, 2023, two massive earthquakes measuring 7.8 and 7.5 magnitude struck southeastern Turkey and northern Syria within hours of each other. Entire apartment blocks crumbled while families slept, trapping thousands under tons of concrete. More than 59,000 people died, and over 125,000 were injured. Millions were left homeless in freezing winter conditions. The destruction spanned hundreds of kilometers, and rescuers from around the world raced against time to save lives. Damages exceeded $100 billion, making it one of the costliest disasters of the century. Nature is powerful, unpredictable, and sometimes terrifying. These events remind us how fragile our world can be and why we must always be prepared. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing stories from around the world. Stay safe, stay aware, and thanks for watching.